Hi, everybody. Welcome to Unplugged, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Today, we're still talking about brands, branding, and looking at the qualities that brands need in order to thrive or to survive. Our focus for the past 3 weeks has been on grit starting again, and today we're talking to someone who, in my opinion, and I'm sure you'll come to agree with me, has had to develop and exhibit grit in order to get where she is today and develop her brand. So please welcome with me our guest, Bukola Adedeji. Bukola, you're very welcome and thank you
Hi
for
everyone.
joining.
Thank you for having me, Aunt Julia. Thank you.
And thank you for waking up so early. It's 4 o'clock where you are. Thank you. I really do appreciate the fact that you woke up earlier, and then I'm sure all our guests will appreciate that. And you're looking marvelous at 4 a.m. I'll tell you. I wouldn't look this way at 4 a.m.
It's my pleasure. It's a privilege as well. So I really thank you for this. I really thank you.
So, well, Bukola's full bio is on our flyer today on at Julia Jackson, so also on Facebook and on Instagram Live. But I'll just read out a few things that I feel are key to this conversation. Bukola is a confidence coach, a body confidence coach, and I'd like her to tell us about that a bit later. She's also a certified bra fitter who is popularly known as the bra girl. She graduated in pure chemistry from the University of Ibadan, and she's been a teacher, a banker, a dressmaker, a sewing tutor. She convinced the bra talk. She's the CEO of Lingerie Plus. Bukola, I've run out of words and I haven't even finished everything that you do. Why don't you share with us the story of your journey so far? What happened in your life that prepared you to be this 10 speed bike that you are?
Yeah. So now that you reel them out like that, I'm like, oh wow, that's a journey. But when you're in it, it's like it just seems like okay, let's just look at the next significant step to take, right? So, after school, I actually worked in some places, and then I got to the bank and I worked there. That's my longest paid employment, So at the bank, I just found out that there was something more, and I tried to figure that out. So I wouldn't say that I'd gone through all this knowing that that was the next thing I was going to go through. For me, it's been a journey of evolution, and this is the next thing, and I wasn't afraid to try. So after the bank, I remember then at the bank, and I did quite well, and I remember the question kept coming up: Is this all, or is there more? And I'd go and I would like, okay, do the work, but there was something more, and I was trying to figure what that was. So at some point, I let go. I said, okay, because I had this passion of sewing, I wanted to go into that, and I wasn't able to combine it with the banking work. So I just, okay, you know what? I think for if I'm doing this for the next 5 years, will I feel fulfilled? No. When if I happen to own this bank and it's doing well, will I feel fulfilled? No. So for me, those were the things I asked myself. So I moved from I just like, okay, I'm going for a career break and I'm going to go into this. And so I started to learn to sew immediately afterwards. And so I did that and then moved on from there. So the sewing was what I thought it was, and it still is because it's a passion that really, really keeps me alive when I'm doing it. And from there, I realized that people need this support for this dress to work. So it that was where the gap started showing that okay, this dress, and as a dressmaker, you know that the focal point of any dress is the bust area. So anything going wrong with that, the dress doesn't come together. So that was how that
Right.
started. And I also grew up as a teenager. Yeah. So as a teenager with small girth, so my back size was so small that I could almost wrap my two hands around it like that. And I had plus size boobs as it were. And for me, it was an issue that I had to battle with. And it happened to be that at some point along my sewing journey, I was able to get that solution. And I'm like, okay, see, we don't have to suffer, here. We don't, the dress, your dress can fit, even if you feel you're big or you're, plus size. It's okay, we can get that. And that was how I got that going, and over time, the demand for the bra started increasing. So what started out as, okay, let's even with my suppliers, I just told them, you know what, I'm a dressmaker. I just want to have the solution for my clients. Okay, can I get solutions for my clients? And they said, okay, sure, why not? And so that was how that started. So it started with, okay, you need a bra in your size. It's going to make your dress fit well, and that's it. But since then, also, it's evolved into a lot more. It's evolved into how you feel, as a woman, because your bras fit well on you, because of what it does for you when you're putting on the right kind of bra, especially if you are well endowed. So, in summary, that has been it. We've been at this for some years, and the conversation keeps expanding to your wellness as a woman, physically, emotionally, and socially, and it's a whole lot of brat talk right there.
Yes, I'd like to. There's something you said that I'd like to talk about, because many of us women, especially SMEs, we kind of happen, maybe also in big companies, we seem to think that the blue chip companies sit down and say deliberately, okay, I'm going to go into oil and gas, but opportunities open from something, and you are trying to find a solution, offer value for your customers who who needed, you know, better fitting, how do I call them, foundation garments, right? And from there you
Clothing,
went
yeah,
into,
yeah.
yes, and then from there you went into actually sourcing the bras, and making that a thing, making that a brand. So this is for all the businesses out there who are starting, or you've started. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you didn't start off with this great big idea, but some things happen along the way, and we have to be sensitive to this could be a possibility. You have to be sensitive
Mhm,
for that.
mhm,
Okay. Now
mhm,
you've touched a
mhm.
little bit on what I'm going to ask you next, but I'd like to ask my mother used to call them foundation garments, and she used to say you have to have the right foundation garments, and I understand why they have to be foundation garments. But how does wearing the right undergarments, how does it intersect with greater productivity and self-image? And I'd like you to speak as a body confidence coach, and also tell us what a body confidence coach really is, please.
Okay, when we're talking about body confidence, we're saying, okay, whatever size, which is a thing, right? We're saying, how do you perceive your own body? What's your self-image? What or how do you feel about your body? When you take a look at yourself in the mirror. And taking that further, I would say, how do you feel in your body? Apart from what you see, how do you feel in that? That plays a very big role. So it's you're at your desired weight, and because of that, you feel good, whether you're there or not. How well do you feel within you? Okay, so for me, that's where that tilt is to, like, because when you put on the, for instance, I would speak to the brass area aspect, because it's a lot of things. It's about even physical wellness, that gives you confidence. So you could look good, but if you don't feel well, you still won't perform well. So there's a whole lot of thing to that. It's also about personal development, having good attitude and things like that. But when I'm talking about body confidence, speaking to the brass now, I have an experience, and I saw this by experience. I've seen how vibes just rise and fall at what you feel about your breasts because you're wearing the right bra size. In fact, what we know, like my team and I, is a woman gets to that sweet spot where she's wearing something good and she's looking at herself in the mirror, something just sparks off. And you're like, oh, this looks
She says,
good.
dang,
Oh
I'm
my God, I'm going
fine.
for this. There is that. Yes, there is that spot. There's that sweet spot that happens. That like, okay, I think you should go for this bra and not that one. You didn't feel like that here, and you felt like that here. And then you see in that moment how possibilities now come on. Oh yeah, I can do this now. Oh, I can jiggle. Oh, I can jump. Just those little things like coming together to say, to open a new vista of opportunities for you to like, oh sure, I can do this. Oh, I can jump. I can lose weight because I have support for my boobs, you know. Oh, I can do this. I can go for that event. I can wear my favorite dress to that event, which will make me feel more confident, you know, because the more confident we are, it there's more probability that we'll do better, will show up better, you know, when we're more confident. So I've seen that connection between wearing the right, getting the right support for your boobs, and how it just jumpstarts, it just takes you to a whole new level of self-confidence, helps you to show up for yourself, and you come out of there feeling, oh yeah, I did that. Now you may not immediately connect it to the bra, but that's where I draw a straight line to like, you're wearing the right bra, it's connecting you to something subliminally, you know, that you're not even conscious of before now. So yes, body confidence addresses that part of things. Yeah.
You're right, because I mean, I guess it makes you kind of sit up, throw your shoulders back, and that's like an immediate boost. Like I know many of us when we were growing up, I know my mother used to tell me like, not well, when I say pound on the back, it wasn't in a bad way, but just kind of a very healthy shove on the back and say, sit, throw your chest,
Mm-hmm.
your shoulders
Mm-hmm.
back, and you're like, oh, I don't really want to do that, which is hard when you're a teenager, it's hard when you're a
You know,
teenager.
if I may add
And
here,
s-
Angela, if I may
sorry, go
add
ahead,
here,
go
wearing
ahead.
wearing that right bra size automatically keeps you erect. That's one. Number two, it does some things physically to you that you are not conscious. Like you talked about sitting upright, there is a lift. So when you're not putting on the right support, for instance, the weight of your boobs is transferred to your shoulder. So you have shoulder pain.
Yeah, you go like that.
There is a nerve on the shoulder. Yeah, there is a nerve on the shoulder right here that, you know, touches us if the weight rests on that place. Just somewhere in between, there's a nerve there, you know, which could give you a headache, which could give you shoulder pains, which can transfer and also distort posture. Actually, distort posture. You get, so there's physical things that happen, right? And connects emotionally as well. Just wanted to buttress that point you talked about.
I just adjusted. I realized that I think I was pressing on that nerve. I just adjusted. But
Mm,
where do you
mm,
find this body
mm.
confidence more important? Is it with our young girls who tend to bud um, earlier and bigger these days, or is it with older women? Because you say you provide support for women and their breasts at all stages of life. So where do you find the support is most needed?
So a woman's breast changes about 6 times during her lifetime, averagely 6 times. And the foundation of this starts in puberty. So I find that this is most important with our young girls, our budding teenagers, for many reasons. Number one is mindset. Now we know that teenagers are budding earlier and they are budding bigger. It's a trend. It's something that is happening. So you find that as a mom, your daughter may well be bigger than you or have larger breasts than you, and you may wonder what's going on, why is this happening. But before we even talk about why it's happening, know that it happens, it's a trend, and we want to give adequate support. And support here is not just starting with the breast support, it's starting with the mind psychological support, because your daughter has to know that whatever size she grows to, she is fine. It doesn't have to stop her from doing whatever she wants to do, whether athletics, whether kickboxing, whether, you know, high impact career or any other thing she wants to do. So it shouldn't stop her from doing that. So I find this talk about breast support and body confidence most important, in this foundation period, because I call the adolescent stage foundation period. We have to support our girls psychologically and emotionally. It's a reason for so many things. They want to figure out, why am I bigger than my colleague, for instance, or why am I smaller? Why aren't I that big? So we want to deal with the comparison. We want to say, big or small, you're doing okay. We want to remove the reason to compare, and just focus on what you can do and who you are as a person. Want to build that psychological base for them, emotional base for them, accepting themselves. Because we relate with the world based on the level of acceptance we show ourselves. So we don't want to like calibrate to, okay, that's the way it is. This is the perfect thing to do. We don't want you to think about breast reduction because you think you're going bigger. We don't want you to think about that yet. We want you to want your identity to form solidly based on who you are and what you have to work with. So I hope I answered that question, that the foundation, the where this talk is really important is with our teenagers. And that extend directly to our moms, because for me, I say, mom, what's your experience like? Because if you have solid experiences to work with, if you have a solid journey you are on, then it's easy to translate this to them.
Hmm. You talked about breast reduction and that. Does there is there any point in time where that may be the only solution? Because at a certain point in time in the day, you have to take your bra off. I mean, you can't sleep with your bra and do
Mm-hmm,
it 24/7. But
mm-hmm,
some people really do have. I don't mean when they're adolescents or preteens. And I know
mm-hmm,
sometimes girls start budding at 9 years, 10 years. I have a teenager. I can't talk about her right now because she may be watching this show and I may get into trouble. But yeah, she started budding quite early, and we had to. Yeah, she was one of your customers, and we had to do the right measurements and make
yeah,
sure she doesn't feel awkward, as she's growing up. But when it comes, I may be wrong. I may be wrong, but I think I read about one of those personalities in Hollywood, Queen Latifah, that she had to have a reduction because it was just too painful for her back. I don't know. Can it get to
mm-hmm.
that point?
Oh yes, for sure it can get to that point, and it will still be a matter of preference. So if you find that, okay, this doesn't work, it shouldn't be because you couldn't find the right support, right? It shouldn't be
Okay.
because you just want to do it to fit in. If it is basically medical, like health for health reasons, and you're advised to do this, oh, why not? Just like hysterectomy, just like those other things that you have to do because you have to, just as a part of living well. But it won't be the first option. It will be that you have gotten the right support, you have the right push, because remember that it comes with this attendant I won't say issues. It comes with this package. Like breast reduction comes with this package. You could lose nerve feelings and things like that. You could eventually not like the scars you get. Depending on the body type, the skin type you have. So you want to go in there fully aware of what you come out with. Okay, but before you even make that decision, you want to make sure that you have covered all the grounds first. Don't, if I may mention this, so I have a friend, I have a permission to share this anyway. She lives in a developed country, like, and you see that she wasn't, so she was tired. She told me, okay, I want to go for breast reduction. And I'm like, why? I've never found anything that fits. I feel this pain on my shoulder. I don't look good in my clothes. I can't wear some clothes because of this and all that. So I'm thinking, okay, it must be that something is wrong with my boobs. So I remember telling her that, no, let's try this bra, let's see. And she tried it on. I'm like, oh my god, oh, the difference, oh my god, oh my god. I'm like, yeah, that's it, that's the size. You're an H cup and you don't find your bra size in the mainstream. mainstream departmental stores. You don't find your bras there. So after a cup size, it's not mainstream anymore. It's specialty. You get your sizes in specialty bra stores. So from then until now, she said, "Okay, I have a wardrobe of bras, so I can't stop buying bras." So see what that does, right? So when you've cleared out those other things, and of course, breast reduction was thrown out of the window. Like, why now she does strapless bras. She wears clothes she wants, So that's my point, to say you could have gone under the blade and still not gotten what you want,
Okay.
and still come up with things that, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And you could go there and grow back, depending on the stage of life you're in. We could go under the blade and still go back. So a lot of things, but by and large, you want to have covered those other areas first of all, and see that, okay, this is the only option we have, and then you go for it, fully aware.
Okay. So let's talk about the brand. We all call you the bra girl, but your actual brand is Lingerie Plus, right? So how do
Yes.
you clearly differentiate, or do you plan to clearly differentiate between these brands or blend them all together?
Right now, because I found that even the Lingerie Plus is was what I started with. Okay, what I like, okay, this is what to do, this undergarments thing, and make it all encompassing. So but I found out when I would talk about it, it's when people hear the word bra that it just comes together for them. So I'm here and I'm like, okay, I'm from Lingerie Plus, I'm Bukola, blah blah blah. This is what I do. So it's until I get to the point of bra, and then they're like, "Oh, what did you say?" And I said, "It's bra," you know, braziers and all that. So I'm like, okay. So I found out that, okay, let's just mention the bra. We'll get your attention first. We'll talk about every other thing later. So I'll see people see me after and say the bra woman, the bra lady, the bra girl. Okay, let's just let's just own it then. So the bra
Let's
girl
own it.
is something to let you know, this is where let's own it, this is where we are at, this is what we're doing. And I remember somebody, it was one of my big aunties too, that mentioned, that said, okay, why don't you just work with the bra girl across all your channels, you know why don't you just work with all of this? That's so she told me, I said, yeah, they could be like, why just let's have all of this together, so that people know what you do right from the first word. And that was what I did, even though now we've gone on to patent it, trademark it and all that, but that's how we started, and that's where we're going right now.
Fantastic. You've touched on something. I mean, when you start owning something, it's important for us as small and medium-sized businesses to own it, and own it by trademarking as well, not just talking about it, because someone could just pick it up and run and take it away. So I
Hmm.
hope the small businesses out there are hearing. It becomes popular, it becomes your thing. Take it and trademark it. Spend a little money on it and make it yours, so that somebody doesn't take it away from you.
Hmm.
We had a guest last week, Ima Bassi, and she talked to us about business development, brands, and marketing. And she mentioned brand extensions as an aspect of business development. That is, you're digging deep into the brand and saying, what more can I get out of this brand, or do I start another one? Is this something that you're either interested in or that you have started doing? If so, could you share with us the ways you've done it?
Mm. So, having started with, okay, that need, fulfilling that need, and seeing how it has evolved, for me, it now became a journey of, okay, some other attendant things are coming around it. For instance, women are now asking, okay, now that I can get the bras, can I get full 100% cotton panties? So, oh, can I get this? So we hear, we listen and say, oh, okay, women are asking for this for themselves and for their daughters. What can we do about it? So, and so we're looking at that. And then we hear about, okay, with all of this lingerie thing, fragrances is a good, like, just a natural marriage like that happens. Okay, well, with this we can get this, with this we can do this. I was there to sit and look at, okay, oh yeah, so what else is happening here? And for me, it's usually been informed by what we are hearing from, feedback we're getting. And I remember Ima Basi talked about that too. Feedback we're getting from those who we are interacting with. They say, we need this. Okay, let's see how we can get this for you. Okay, we need this. Okay, but having to sit down and measure, is this demand big enough for us to want to feel in this particular way? Or can we feel in this particular way while we are on our way to providing this on a larger scale? Does this have, so for me, it's usually been about sitting down and, okay, based on what we have heard, based on what we feel, and sometimes it's intuitive, and then I think about this, and then I have people asking about it. I think, okay, and we have my team members, so we talk about it, and we have people asking about, okay, so that tells me, okay, maybe there's something there. Let's see how we can do this, while not trying to jump into so many things at the same time. Okay, so that for me would stretch, to stretch our budget, to stretch us, in different ways. But yes, we have been able to get into fragrances, room fragrances. We're looking at body fragrances, and for me, teenagers are where my heart is with that, because as a consequence of coming into teenagehood, adolescence, we find that there is this strong odor that comes with it. And we're like, yes, how can we address that? It's not something that we hear all like that, but how can we address that? And so we're already like filling that gap, you know. Women are asking for the tropical region, the heat, the humidity. Some
Absolutely.
women don't even want to touch anything apart from cotton bras. So we're like, yes, we're sorting that out. So yes, those are extensions, as you call them, that we're working on.
Okay. I want to stick. I mean, I have someone who's right in bang in the middle of this adolescent journey, and we talk about this all the time. And she did want to ask Auntie Bukola, like, can we do layering? Because she's gotten conscious about how the body smells. I tell her it's the tropics and everything. I'm not an expert, so she doesn't believe me. She just thinks I'm just trying to calm her down. But who would you think you'd talk to? Because I asked her yesterday, I said, would you buy your bras from Auntie Bukola? And she said, yes, yes, I like the way they treat me there. I like the way they
Oh,
make me feel. They make me feel like a big girl, you know. So I think that's very important, because otherwise you'll just have mommies buying for their children, and then after a while, the children just go elsewhere and buy things for themselves. So
mm-hmm,
as you're doing
mm-hmm,
this age appropriate
mm-hmm.
and maybe weather appropriate, region appropriate bras, cotton, especially cotton, I hope you're going to also make them very pretty, because I tell you, my daughter in a heartbeat will sacrifice prettiness for utility in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that's where that gap. That's part of that package, right? Age appropriate for teenagers means it's pretty, it's supportive, it's comfortable. Basically, it has to be pretty, it has to be comfortable, it has to work for you. And the needs of teenagers is different from, or rather, the needs are different for in a bra, are different for adults, are different for menopausal women. So teenagers, I find, are not looking for, perky and lifted and all that. They just want function and pretty. If you can give me function and pretty, I'm good. And so we're saying, yes, that's what we'll do. Okay, so that's where that is. And yes, you mentioned about nurturing from that point onwards. Nurturing not just with providing the breast, nurturing with the mindset, nurturing with the I see you mentality, how you self-awareness, taking a look at your emotions, taking a look at how this helps you, how this does not have to stop you, how you can do so much with what you have if you put your focus on. So the needs for the teenager are more than getting the brands themselves. So that's what I try to
Yeah.
do, my team and I try to provide that psychological base and say, we see you for who you are, not as your mom has come with you or that. We see you for who you are, and we want to meet you there. and nurture you on from there. So yeah, all that is a lot to think about and a lot to work on, But yes, we're on that journey. I love that journey.
That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to the outcome of that journey. I'm really looking forward to that. So let's dig a little
Yeah.
deeper into your brand and ask. And this is a question that came from UC. UC asked, like, did you have a clearly laid out, articulated vision and plan of action before starting the business? If not, do you think it's all right to go with the flow?
Hmm. There is always a flow you have to go with, even in articulating that. So we could say that, okay, the bra business came out of the sewing business, and yeah, we just flowed into it. But of course, a lot of thought had to go into that. A lot of thought in the sense that who do I want to reach first? How do I want to go about this? So that flow, with the flow that I had, it had to rest on something. It had to rest on, okay, how do I want to and inform a lot of things. Where do I start from with this? Because remember, it's coming from, oh, I'm just serving a few clients and all that. If you're serving a few clients and then you move on to wanting to serve much more clients, what base would that come from? I remember then, okay, I was discussing with my husband then, and he was like, how do you want to go about this? And so I sat down to think about it. I sat down to think about, like, okay, this is market. I can't say 100 people will come and buy from me today, but I can plan for this 100 people. So yes, there is the flow thing, because for me, flow is important. It has to come from within, because that's where, for me, the tenacity comes. That's where, once I'm able to get into that flow, whatever grit I need, whatever strength I need to pull along the way, it comes from that flow. But then there's all, and in addition, not but in addition to that, there has to be concrete plans that come out of it. So even if you wing it for the first few months, you realize that if I want this to grow to this place, then I have to rethink. I have to restart something. I have to back up and, rethink this strategy and, that. So that was what I did initially. But now we now have data. We're now looking at, okay, who are the women what we are serving, where are they from, what are their age ranges, what do they do, now we come into that and we're saying, oh, this is what we have found in the Bad Girls Experience, that these are the different categories of women. Oh, this is our target market, but we are having some supplementary, not supplementary, another layer of audience that we're reaching that we didn't even realize we would reach. And then we have to think about that again. How do we serve these people? What do we do? How do we attend to this? It's still about this fundamental issue of foundation. So we still have to attend to them, so we won't turn you away. So yes, it's a lot of, you have that flow, you see that coming, and then you have to dig deep in enough to create that base for it to happen. For instance, one of the things I thought about I went to school, like I signed up for, yeah, I went to Fit Foundation. I attended Fit Foundation when I knew that I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. That's right after leaving the bank. But then when I came to Port Harcourt, I also went to Quantum Business School. I wanted to understand what the dynamics were better. And I wanted to know what that meant. Okay, what do you business plan? What do you do and all that? And I realized that in the midst of it all, I can't get stuck at the business plan level. I still have to keep moving forward, but I have to keep my eyes on where I was going. Yes, so I think that I hope that answered that question. There's a part of the flow, and there's a part of that flow has to be big enough, strong enough, intense enough to push forward, into the next significant step. So yes.
So what I hear is that there has to be a flow, but at a certain point you have to give it structure. So it forms an
Yes.
arrowhead for you to move to your next significant step. Okay. I hope she's
Yes.
listening. And actually, I'm sure she's listening. So that should help her, you know. So you talked about target audience, and we all know that every growing woman. Well, I did hear something, so let me just chuck it in here. I hear there's this no bra. Uh,
Nobody.
No, 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 not the No Bra Day. I
Free
know
the
that one is in support of breast cancer, but like there's an anti-bra wearing movement. I don't know whether it's really a movement or
free the nipples or something. Free the nipples.
something like that. That
Something
women
like
would
that.
walk around. Women walk around just wear. Oh my God! Can we even say this? Can we even say this on this broadcast? Wear nipple covers instead of wearing bras and stuff like that. And, I said, well, really, is that a local thing or is that a global thing? I don't know. Have you ever heard about it? I mean, I heard about it for the first time yesterday. You know, right?
Oh, it's been on. It's been on, and it's definitely global. It's not local to Nigeria or Africa. No, it's been on. There are different movements like that that just emphasize, okay, don't wear bras. This is what they do to you. Or free the nipples, be free, and things like that. There are different groups like that, movements like that. But then it now comes to you as a person, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. This nipple covers and adhesive bras, for instance. Adhesive bras are bras that you can stick on your boobs and they stay. You can with that you can wear some type of clothing. And I know that
Yeah.
these have their limitations. So up to a point, we have the breast tapes. Breast tapes are used in sports as well, to just tape up the boob so that when you're running, you don't feel so much jarring. Okay, so but does it work for everybody? No. So if you want to join this movement, you're considering this movement, you want to think about what your success rate and how sustainable it is for you. So it still comes back to us as individuals. Yeah, yes, your success, your sustainability on that journey. So if you want to go on that trend, you will have to know that, okay, this is what I'm going there for, or else it's not. How would you measure your success on that journey? So it always comes back to us as individuals. Okay, what do I want to do? What works for me? Because whether you like it or not, there are some. If there's a level you get, if you have this size of breast, there is a limitation somehow, and that you have to think of and address. Okay,
True.
now for let me take an example. Strapless bras, for instance. For some time, I've heard women say, "No, I don't want to wear strapless bras. Oh, they will fall off my body." And we're saying, you know what? They don't have to fall off your body. I, for one, am an H cup, and I wear strapless bras without the straps. So it's not about, it's about getting what is your size and what works for you. Now we see strapless bras going up to the J cup. And like if you're a woman who you attend red carpet events and you want to wear those mono shoulders, bustier dresses, you can actually do those things now. So for me, it's always about coming back to what do you want to do? How does this work for you? How does this enhance your success? Before you jump on that wagon. And with the breast, your breast will tell you. Your breast will tell you when you are succeeding. They will, because you have support. Oh, they will.
Yes.
Oh, they will.
Yes. 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 Absolutely. So you mentioned your target audience, and like I said, every woman, every growing girl, well, every girl at every stage of her life, young or old, we need a bra generally, and there are many bra brands and bra retailers all over the world. So what did you do to find your audience, to identify your audience and hold on to them? What did you do? Because many people would like to know, how do you identify your audience?
Okay, for me, I had just a handful of clients I was working with that I would say formed the foundation. So for me, they were the first people I could say, these people are the people that I can reach, that I've already bought or they're asking for. So that helped me to build something around that. These are the people that want it, can afford it, and are willing to. And then the relationship, and that's where that started from. So a lot of word of mouth referrals, it got in, went into this. So I find that when you're able to provide this experience to this woman, it's easy to tell her friend, it's easy to tell her circle, of people. So the first handful of clients I was working with, I looked at, the psychographics, all those parameters that we used to, like, okay, how do we do this? Who are we reaching? So I just use them as my avatar and say, okay, these are the women. They are this, apart from being top heavy or having children that are top heavy, they are in this place, they're in this area. And I was living in Port Harcourt then. So I knew, okay, this is where I'm working from. The lingerie industry in Nigeria majorly are in Lagos. So for me, it was about thinking about, okay, how will this work here with given the industry um, statistics we have in River State at that time, even till now. So I hope that answered the question. I started with the clients I had and made them my target audience avatar, and then I moved it up from there. So for me, and then I found out what worked. For me, I knew then that Instagram ads, Facebook ads were not a thing I was going to do then. Word of mouth was always bringing that, and I was looking at how can I leverage this to give value to more and more women in that circle. So that was where I started from.
Okay. And now that you're no longer in Nigeria, do you find that your audience has shrunk or has it grown?
Oh, it's been growing. I won't say I'm no longer in Nigeria because the business is
Physically.
running in Nigeria. Yeah, right. Yes, I get that really. Another thing that happened with me from the very get go was that even though this was going to be a lingerie store, it doesn't have to run with my presence from the get go. Even if I was in Port Harcourt right now, it wasn't going to be that I was going to have to be there, all the time. And so for me, from the beginning, I had to think of how do I win my clients from having to see me? How do I win them from, okay, I have to see you all the time for you to be successful? No, I think the major thing was to put the value there, that you still get this value whether or not I am there. So yeah, now that I'm not in Nigeria, I find out that anywhere I go, I meet women who have this need. So whether on relating online or physically, I find out that it's still growing. Like when I moved out, when I left, for me was about what would you do with this? Because then we're fairly young, we're quite young, and for me was about, oh, I had to deal with, oh, these businesses when you're not around, they die. Oh, staff members, oh, this or that. I had to face those things. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do about this? And then for me it was a matter of, well, you could do everything right and still it would just still go down. So for me it was about, okay, let's do whatever we can and see how it goes. And incidentally, we've grown, like we are still growing, and that makes me really happy.
I tell you for one, it makes me happy that I can sit in Port Harcourt and access fantastic bras. You know, I just want to say a quick shout out to Stella. She just joined us and she asked a question that you just answered. How did you find your first clients, friends and family? But she just answered that, Stella, please watch the replay. It's going to be up on YouTube and also on Facebook Live. On Facebook, yeah, Facebook, yeah, it's going to be up there. Yeah. But yes, um, describe your brand. What are your, if every brand has a personality, what's the personality of your brand
Mm,
and what are your brand values?
mm. Care. The first thing, care.
Care.
When we say care, we're talking about seeing every woman for who she is. Care. So you find me slipping into self-care. You'll find me slipping into women supporting women. You'll find me caring for, so care, nurturing, care and nurture. We want to nurture every woman's confidence. We want to nurture our ability to show up for ourselves. Okay, so I want to. So for me, anything that has to do with confidence with women, my ears are already cocked. Like I'm like, okay, let me hear about that. For instance, like I said earlier on, that this really was beyond looking good to how do you feel as a woman, because your feeling, your health, your wellness within informs a lot of the things, your productivity. That's where it works. Okay, so for me, so recently I got to know about this feminine care that has to do with feminine healthcare, where you steam vaginal steaming and things like that. So for me, I'm like, oh, this is a self-care routine. So recently we launched our aura fragrances, room fragrances. This is a self-care routine. Okay. This is so, and we just built them in such a way that it empowers you as a woman. It makes you see yourself. This is who I am. This is where I'm at. This is what I have to work with. Boobs and all.
Starting with the boobs. So you have care, nurturing. What else would be part of your personality?
The brand personality. We do a lot of proactivity. For instance, one of our team values is proactive. We want to give the moment, every moment, the um the energy it deserves to yield the best results so far, so whatsoever. So for us, we have a client, we get 5 levels deep. We have something we need to do, we want to go 5 levels deep. So proactivity there is another thing that we have. But all for me, everything comes into that all encompassing care.
Okay.
Everything comes from there. We know that we have to develop the staying power to be able to do something and get it to a point, which is what the Brat Talk has been about. It's been about a lot of digging deep to bring more and more knowledge and experience to women, as part of the care value. It's a lot of certifications, a lot of, so what all the things that we do rest on the base of we want to care for women just from where they are.
From my perspective as a client and also as a brand connoisseur and a brand builder, I'd say that one of your part of your personality is trust. You're trustworthy, yeah, being trustworthy. Because I would go in there to your shop, for instance, and I am 100% certain that I will not be hustled to buy something I don't need. You know, I also have the certainty that whatever else you send, I mean, we spoke, was it earlier this week, and you said there were some products you sent over, but they didn't meet the quality that you felt. So
Mhm,
you needed to stand them down for now. And I find that for me, it just gives me the
mhm,
that sense that I can rely on you. I can rely on you. So I mean, if you didn't
mhm,
put trustworthiness
mhm,
among your values, I think you should put it in there because I'm sure I'm not the only woman who would say, "Yeah, I can pick up a bra and go." I think it's a very important
mhm.
aspect of your brand personality.
I understand. Yeah, so maybe that is excellence as well, is something that we have that I didn't mention. Excellence. So it has to meet that mark. Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I actually deliberately didn't mention excellence because almost all our goals and
It
visions
sounds
when we write
cliche.
we put excellence.
Yeah,
We put
it sounds
excellence.
cliche.
Yes, yes. But I like the way you put it: care, nurture, see every woman for who she is, and make sure that she has the confidence to show up for herself, and that support. That's what you do
Yes.
psychologically and physically. You know. So you moved with
Yes.
your family four
Yes.
times within 8 years, within and outside the country. Girl, that's a lot of physical and emotional disruption, you know? So, what have you learned about
Yes.
yourself through all these disruptions?
Let me start with this joke. I've learned that I'm a pilgrim here on earth. I'm
True?
a
Yeah.
pilgrim. So so for me, each and every time I made sure that I began again. So, and I say that carefully because just before we started the moves, I knew that I didn't want to work at the bank anymore. And I went and, learned to make clothes, dressmaking, and all that just before. And for me, that was very instructional because when I moved, then I knew that, okay, I could do this. Because by that time, I'd working in the bank, I'd developed up to a level that I knew that I could do something. Okay, I was handling a business unit. I was simulating our numbers and our figures by month end. I was meeting with customers. So I had this expression of me that was already relating with people and with all that. So for me, that began to be expressed anywhere I went to. So for me, it was not about what can this have. So with that sewing skill I had, I would always begin again. I would always begin. By the fourth time, I knew that, okay, you want to be able to do something that doesn't have to move around with, which was why when the Bra Girl started, Lingerie Plus started, it was a thing of I don't have to be around this brand. It can run by itself, even if I have to move. Being able to stay and stabilize in one place will encourage growth. So I moved, I had my tools, I started again, and then I'm gaining grounds and I have to move again. So at a point came when I'm like, okay, you have to sink your root in the ground and let this run itself, whether you move or not. And I think starting with that mindset has really helped me a lot. That was one thing that just always in my mind. Okay, what can you do here, and how can you do it without manage disruptions around it? Yeah. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, yes. I think that shows that you were, well, number one, you accepted the fact that you have to move and there'll be disruptions in life. And that's one thing that we have to accept. There'll be all kinds of different disruptions, and you rooted yourself kind of, I say, metaphorically, so that that there's something standing even when you were moving around physically. You rooted. I'm glad you rooted
Mm-hmm,
yourself in
mm-hmm.
Port Harcourt because that means I can get to you. You know.
Mr. Lulu said it was an awful lot of thinking,
Yes.
all thinking,
Yes.
because different expression, different levels, and there's some growth spurts that would happen, and you have to manage it. And there's some things that you have to do. Awful lot of thinking, as he said. I remember that
Oh
phrase.
yes. Yes, an awful lot of thinking and not so much money, but yeah, thinking can be costly because very critical. But many people would like to say, "Hey, give me hacks. Let me just do one, two, three." And
Mm,
human beings don't work like that. But
mm, mm,
so
mm,
naturally, that would make me ask you, what does grit mean to you?
mm. Great. Getting to the
Yes.
finish line, like doing whatever it
Okay.
takes, sustaining that momentum, that tenacity to get to the finish line. For me, that has been very, like, determine the end and plot that graph and then go on it. For me personally, once I'm able to determine that, and whether thinking for an event or thinking in the for the month or thinking for the phase of business we're in, once we're able to identify where we're going to and plot straight there, even when challenges come, I'm able to, like, wing it, as it were, on quotes, because we have a finish line. So now I mentioned that some things didn't work out in some for some of those products, and we're like, you know what, we have an online party coming on. We're going to do that party, right? And we're going to move on to other things that we need to do. So what else do we have to work with right here? So grit then means whatever was going to happen, we're going to achieve that goal. And sometimes it can be really, really strenuous. Sometimes you can take its toll emotionally and physically and financially and all that. But for me, being able to stay on that nerve until it yields, for me, I think that's great.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We're almost at the end of our program, and there's so
Oh
many
wow.
things I. Oh yes, it's just gone in a flash. It's gone in a flash. I'd like to ask you two things. I think two things. Yeah. Um, how did you cope last year? Last year threw a lot of us. I know
Mm,
you said great, and that's important too. But last year threw a lot of people off balance, and it came with the economic crisis, not just the health crisis, but the economic crisis, and plus the fact that many people were not actually wearing bras. We changed the way we worked, working, virtually, and I believe the hybrid mode of working is possibly here to stay. It's possibly our new normal. So, how would this
mm.
affect your business? Did it affect your business?
So would you know that the lingerie industry,
Hmm.
the lingerie industry worldwide spiked, it moved in the positive direction because of COVID-19.
Like
So
really?
women were buying more bras. Oh yes. Women were now paying attention, they were buying more bras during this period. I mean, from the
Why?
different industry. I think number one, we realized that okay, we're taking a look at our wardrobe, we're like, okay, I need retail therapy. I think that's one of the things. And then women were
Okay.
really not slowing down and paying attention to the things that they were not paying attention to anymore. Right from the supplier level of things, we saw that so many things were getting sold out. Women were investing in that, and being at home, even if not wearing them at home, engaging in that self care as this one I even needed to do. And then yeah, it moved in the positive direction for so many things. And now, for us, how did we cope last year? Because that didn't necessarily mean it moved in Nigeria for some people. So, how did we cope? I think two things that happened. One was spontaneous, and one was that somehow we had been prepared for that. So many things went online. We had already moved a lot of things online. We're already thinking about deploying things online. We had already set that running. So for us, when COVID came, like, okay, let's speed up things. Let's just build momentum around this area. And then with that momentum came a spontaneous idea. We had bra events, parties every year. If whether it was either a tea party or conference, we hosted something at least once a year, incidentally. So we're like, okay, all these events were physical events. So what can we do this year? Just came like an idea. Like, which is why mental agility too is very important. That's one of our team core values. Mental agility, tech savviness is one of the things that we must have as a team member in the bracket. So like we just dropped that, why we can have an online party. We used to have the bra party, tea party, now we can have online party. Okay, so what can we do? How can we do this? So once we're able to plot to the end, it was a matter of get the end, it was a matter of plotting to that. And so we planned this bar party, and wow, it gained so much momentum. In fact, I can tell you that's one of the things that sustained us last year. We got so much engagement, at that point. Now, did we do bra party this year? Yes, we did. Did it gain as much traction as last year? Maybe not in some certain parameters that we measured on, but that was very pivotal last year. So that's how we coped. It was a matter of there was some preparation that we had going on in this thinking ahead. How do we do this? Where is the brand now? What can we do? How can we move that? There was that. And then there were spontaneous ideas that we just had to execute like at the flip of a hat. So yeah, that helped.
So what I hear is that you're constantly thinking about your brand, and you believe in being agile to what everybody called last year to pivot, you know, and take advantage of opportunities
Mhm.
presented.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes, and yeah, 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 yeah. And I can just say all this because God is just the grace of God. Because sometimes you just wonder, oh my God, what's happening? So it's not like I come into the moment knowing, oh, it's all gonna be good. Don't worry. No, sometimes I'm like, oh God, what next? oh God, and God always showed up. Yes, I have to say that at this point.
Yes. I wish we had time to talk about nutrition and breast development for especially our young girls, and also the fact of whether do men actually, do the daddies come, and do the husbands come, and do the boyfriends come to you as well. But that is, I think that's a conversation I'd like us to have another time, because sometimes it seems like these are just female issues, but the men have daughters, they have nieces, they have
Hmm.
sisters, they have
Hmm.
wives, they have girlfriends, they have mothers, so
Hmm.
yeah, it's not just a girl issue. It's not just a
Yeah,
female issue. But my last question,
yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, because I really enjoyed this conversation, is can you share four key things that you've learned on your journey of becoming a brand? Four key things.
Mm. So let me just because I was thinking about this and I wrote them down like, okay, what were these things I can say I learned on my journey? One of the things is just a minute, give yourself a chance. That's the first thing. Going into the bra business, I heard people clearly say selling bra in a store, in a mall. Where is that? Ah, okay, I'll see how that will go for you. I actually had to think about that, but I just told myself this is where the flow is, and I'm going to give myself that chance. That's one. And this other thing is the brand grows on the strength of personal development. This journey has been so much about my developing personally too. In fact, I find that when I invest on developing on myself, my mindset, my psychological state, and things like that, it has always helped me push the brand up. So yes, the brand is standing on its own, but it feeds from my own development as a person. Like which football team is this? You will never walk alone. Helps. Like it's always, finding and being mindful of your team members. So I always tell myself I'm called first to my team members before even clients because I want to see that everybody's okay. So I'm called to people. So for me, finding help and knowing the kind of help you need, that's very critical for me because see, I'm not right there right now in Port Harcourt, but I have a team that is fully on ground. Okay, and that we, so finding your helpers very important, and yeah, taking risks,
Taking
like
risks.
taking risks. Put your feet in the water, like put your foot in the
Absolutely.
water. Like you don't know how it will open up, but yeah, take those risks. I won't say that I've taken all the risks that some of the risks have burnt me, but I learned from them. I changed my perspective about them. Okay, so why did I fall here? So what happened here? What won't I do again? Where is this taking me? So for me, those things have been very critical. Yeah. I'm one of the people, if you tell it's impossible, I'll say, let's give it a try. We'll see where it takes
Okay.
us. Let's give it a try.
Okay. Thank you so much. I mean, this has been like I think someone called one of our conversations a fireside chat, and I just feel I'm sitting here talking with my sister and having a good conversation about things that are important to women and also things that are important to anybody who wants to build a brand. So, Bukola, I thank you so
Mhm.
much. Number one, you got up early for me and for everybody else. Thank you very, very much. And thank you for all that you've shared from your heart. You poured it out to us. I knowing you, we could do this for another hour, but but I think we roll it over to another day. We roll it over to another day. I also want
Yes.
to thank
Yes.
everyone who
Thank
joined
you so
us.
much.
Please follow Bukola on at the Bra Girl. We put it up here in the comment section at the Brow Girl. You can follow her on Instagram at the Brow Girl. And if you haven't had yourself professionally fitted, well, is it fitting you call it? Measured. You're a certified
Yes.
bra
Fitted. Mm.
fitter. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, so
Fitter.
I think
Mhm.
do you do that for free? That service, is that service done for free? Just the fitting, not even the buying,
No,
just
not always for free. No, fitting is free, but there are other things that come with the consultation that are not free. But fitting is complimentary right now.
okay, fitting is
But there are other
complimentary.
levels to it that are there are other levels to it that are not free, that are paid for.
Okay, okay. Well, is there any way it can be done virtually as well? At least the
Oh,
fitting?
we do that. We do fitting virtually. Oh, we do. We
Okay,
serve people all over Nigeria. So we do virtual fitting. Yes, we do that.
okay. So please
Even
check
outside the
out,
country. Not let me not say just Nigeria.
okay, outside the country. I'm really looking forward to when your luxury brand is going to really blow. You know, you put in so much work, you know, behind the scenes,
Amen.
and I'm looking forward to wearing a Lingerie Plus branded bra, you know, in the not too distant future,
Yes.
you know. So
Yes.
this
Yes.
is Julia Oku signing out for Julia Jacks Consulting, and thanking our guest today, Bukola Adedeji, and thanking all of you for joining us today. Thank you very much. Bukola, we're going to talk very soon.
Thank
Maybe
you.
later today. Yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you very
Okay.
much,
Okay.
everybody. Have a
Thank you,
great
Aunt
day.
Julia.
Thank you.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.